Hi, everyone. Corey Haubs, Small Town Grit. We're remote this week, kind of something different, changing the format up. We were able to meet with Dorothy Watt, the director at the Historical Museum here in Vassar, as well as Janet Ahrens. So, in the beginning, we're going to show a lot of footage, and Dorothy's going to tell us a little history of how the museum came to be, a little history on the Vassar itself, and then we're going to go on a small little tour. So, come on in and join us. So we're at the Vassar Historical Society Museum with Dorothy Watt and Janet Ahrens. So welcome. How did the museum come to be?
Probably around in the year of 2000, there was a historical society and they had shopped around for a building to have a museum. Emil Rummel stepped forward and said he had his house business, this house on South Main Street here, and he wanted the property to have a parking lot. Mm-hmm. So he said we could have the house if we moved it.
It's always a catch, right?
Yeah. So it was nice. We had some money saved up. City gave us a $25,000 no-interest loan for seed money to get going. And so we moved the house. Unfortunately, the house was too big to move all at once. So they cut it and cut the back half and the front half. Front half was moved. And then before the back half was moved, somebody set fire to it.
Oh.
So
wow.
The back half of our museum is all new. The front half is 1870, 1880.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, amazing. So how'd you get the property? Is that you guys had to purchase?
The city had this property and they gave it to us for $1 for 100 years.
Okay.
And pretty much we tried to kind of put it back to where it would have been. Mm-hmm. So when you come in, it looks like an old 1870 house.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful here. At what point that you guys decided we need space or we need to store things? Was it just accumulation, or was it just like of the board at the time says we need to?
Well, I think it was in the minds of people for a long, long time because people had artifacts. One reason or another, they needed to give it to somebody. Mm-hmm. Couldn't keep it themselves anymore. And so there was that need in the community to have a place to show our history.
Mm-hmm. Is there a certain point that you're at capacity of taking anything? Are you selective at some point, or?
Well, capacity-wise, we're at that now. If a good piece comes in, we'll take it. We'll find a place for it.
Talk to me about through the museum, your rotation of displays, and that's one thing that a lot of people don't know. You do those every year, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
You kind of strip them down and
Yep.
bring new displays in and circulate.
Yeah, right from the beginning we felt that we didn't want to have the same thing on display all the time because that would get boring. Yeah. And we've changed the displays every year that we've been in here, which is 16 years.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. Mm-hmm. What room are we in this room? This room doesn't really change
Janet,
much.
You want to talk about this room?
This is the room for Townsend North, the founder of our city. We're sitting at his table.
Oh, amazing.
So that's pretty amazing. A lot of information about the history of why the city started, having to do with the lumber.
And that's why we're called the Cork Pine
Yes, very much so.
City, right?
Yes.
Because of our logging history of
yes.
Back in the day. Yeah, and really the downtown has really changed and morphed into with different. We've had the floods here, and we've had to adapt. Always changing and morphing into something new. But you guys are here to able to capture the transitions of those times. So that's very, very nice. So what struggles do you guys have to maintain this museum?
We do need more volunteers. I can consider this for me a community service. That's what we need is more volunteers because we have a lot of great information. Just last week we had couples come in that didn't know each other, but they're related, and we were able to bring information together so that they could find a connection.
Interesting.
It was a great time when they came and did that with us. We're also liking to work on bringing school children here, making it an annual thing. Anybody with any type of a dementia or Alzheimer's coming into a facility like this, into a place like this, sparks memories for them, and it can be a very positive experience.
So what are your top 3 unique pieces here at the museum that you've collected over the years?
We have original diaries from Townsend North that he wrote in daily that said they went to Saginaw and sold a cow. Or one thing I know, I finally found out that Townsend North, I had heard that he built the plank road from Vassar to Saginaw, but we had no real documentation of that. So I was reading the little diaries, and he had on one day he says, went to Saginaw for a meeting on the plank road. And about a month later, he had an entry that said, getting a crew together for the plank road. The plank roads were privately owned. He actually owned the road, and it was a toll road. That's one of the things. And another thing that people seem to be really gravitated to, and children are amazed by it, is our hair wreath, our human hair wreath.
Yeah, that is a unique piece.
Yeah. And kids kind of freak out about it, and adults are amazed by it. It was a craft project in the Victorian days, and they used human hair to wind around wire and then make flowers and stuff and make a wreath.
Well, you ready to go on a small tour?
I guess.
So, Dorothy, tell us about this unique piece. Where'd this come
Want to know
from?
about this guy? This is our namesake, Vassar's namesake, Matthew Vassar, Matthew Vassar. And the statue itself was in Poughkeepsie, New York, and at Vassar College wanted to make a statue. So they, this was at the foundry, and then when they were through with it, it was a prototype, they were gonna throw it out. Happened a gal from Vassar worked there and rescued it and brought it back to Vassar. Matthew Vassar was kind of I think that he probably loaned money to Townsend North, and he was actually a relative of his wife's. Let's honor this man by naming Vassar after him.
Oh, okay.
And he was the founder of Vassar Women's College, also
In New York.
in New York.
Yeah. Dorothy, tell me about school days, this wall. I've been involved in the museum for quite a few years. This is a rotating display of always school. This is kind of your school wing, is that correct?
Yes, our school we do by the year. So this is the 4-year. We put up as much stuff as we can that refers to the 4 years. As you can see, it's 34, 14, 94. And we pretty much we try to include as much as we can in the space that we have. And I'll say a little bit about our school marm. Her clothing is from the Hart family on Frankenmuth Road, and her skirt is probably 1880. Her blouse also. When we first got this, I thought, why does she have this little teeny pocket here? And it was for her watch. And we don't have a watch from the Hart family, but Carolyn Rapson from CS Jewelers donated an antique watch to go in here. So we have a complete outfit for our little school marm.
Knock, knock. Yeah, another unique wing I think this is primarily always here, correct?
Yes.
The Opera House, the Miller Opera House. Was it the Millers that brought this building to life?
Yep.
Okay. Well before my time, the building got tore down in 1987, is that correct? And 1890 roughly it was constructed, is that?
1879.
1879, okay. And this stood in the spot where it's currently Frankenmuth Credit Union, so prime real estate right on the corner downtown. From your knowledge, at what point why did the building have to get torn down?
Well, I think the man that owned it, I think it came to a point where there was just too much maintenance and work to be done, and he tried his best to get it restored, and it didn't happen. And at one point, I guess the city said no more. You know, it had to be demolished. But about our display, we do have some pieces from the Opera House. This is a very large corbel from up on the second story exterior. This door here is from the Opera House, and the story goes that when the performers would be here, they would sign the door, and if you look real close, you can see signatures all over the top of it. It's very hard to see, but it's there.
So I see we have a little Indian Dave display, Dorothy. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
And this picture here is probably typical of his encampment. He must have been hardy. He lived to be 106. I mean, he was born in 1803 and he died in 1909. So yeah, he was 106. Lived outside most of the time. I guess in bad weather, people would take him in, in their homes. The basket is from him. He made the basket. As you can see, he probably was not ever a wealthy man.
So a little bit about when we can visit the museum, or what days are you guys up here?
Yeah.
Like, how's the structure work for the public to come take opportunity here?
Because of our limited staff, we can't be open a lot, but we are open on Saturdays from 10 to 2. And then on Wednesday, we're here to work. And if you see a car here, you can come in. We'll be glad to talk to you, do whatever needs to be done.
Mm-hmm.